Hi guys, welcome to my video today. I just canceled my Shopify store and oh my God, I'm going to tell you all about it. Backstory. I've been managing 2 online shops at the same time for 3 years now, a Shopify store and an Etsy store. The Etsy store I've had since 2007, and I didn't find my groove with it until about 5 years ago. But that's a whole other story for a whole other video. The Shopify store was new to me in 2016. To be honest with you, I was hesitant to even mention Shopify versus Etsy, etc. in this video for Etsy and Shopify to even be comparable. And that's because they are really quite different from each other. But some of the fundamentals of each of the platforms are the same. They're both shops where you sell your stuff. And some of the sticking points that differentiate them could cause you to choose one over the other when something's not working with one of them, but is working with the other. So please keep that in mind throughout the rest of this video. Why 2 shops? We all know what Etsy is and what it's not. It's a great platform for indie artists, but it's not an independent, autonomous platform. I have found that for the most part, you get out of Etsy what you put into it, with caveats, however. See, the rules are constantly changing on Etsy. I've put a lot into my Etsy shop over the years, but you absolutely have to stay on top of that stuff. Constantly manage it and tweak. The SEO, you gotta stay on top of it, and everything else, because Etsy's constantly changing. So although it's not my own autonomous, independent platform, leaving Etsy was never a consideration because I have an audience there and people find me there. And it's just very important to my business that I stay on Etsy. I went with a Shopify store in addition to my Etsy shop. I did it for autonomy and brand building. I wanted to have a standalone, fully branded shop that I can drive people to that's on no one else's platform. Basically, so I could have exactly the shop I want that represents me exactly as I want, and a place where my shoppers won't get distracted with other shops. On Shopify, I was on the basic Shopify plan. It cost $29 per month plus 2.9% of sales plus 30 cents per transaction. Before I chose the basic Shopify plan, however, I used the LITE plan, which is a $9 a month option. I used it for about 6 months to a year. On the LITE plan, you can integrate code for listings on a page of your own standalone website. I use a WordPress site, so I would create a page and put my listings on a page of my WordPress site. That way you can populate an entire page with items and the shopping cart is right there on the side if you want, or wherever you want. It gives you options. The customer doesn't get a full product listing page, but when they click on the item, they get a pop-up with a description and a buy now button that they can use to purchase your product right then and there. This worked well on my regular WordPress website, kathyweller.com, until I began to really push the limits of that buy button and of the LITE plan. I was using multiple pages for product listings or for buy buttons on my WordPress site, and I knew I was stretching the intended use when things started to break. I just figured I would keep using it until something broke, and finally things started breaking all over the place. And that is when I bit the bullet and went with the Shopify basic plan and got a standalone store. I would encourage anyone who is thinking about Shopify but wants to give it a test run to select the LITE plan subscription first, as long as you have a standalone website like a WordPress site in which you could put the code in there. It's only about $9 a month total, and it's a really good way to get to know the Shopify platform without spending $30 a month. And you can decide if you like it or not before you go for something bigger. Also, someone who's better at coding than I am, I'm a real DIY guerrilla person and I get it done, but I'm not great at it. I just get it done. Someone who's better at coding than I am might be able to fix what was breaking for me when I was stretching that LITE plan. So if that's you, then go for it. You might be able to use that buy button and never have to buy your own Shopify store. But I know my limits, and I knew it was time for me to upgrade when things started breaking. At first, I loved Shopify, and the truth is, I still do love Shopify. I think it's great. It's easy to set up, it looks beautiful, and the options for app integrations are astounding. To be honest, they're actually a bit overwhelming though, and you can get yourself into some trouble, which I will explain later. Also, Shopify has an API with several print-on-demand companies. such as Printful and Printify. This automation is a game changer. It completely streamlines the back end of the ordering process. At the moment, for API integration, I use Printful only, but there are many integrations that you can use. Now, I still love Shopify, obviously, but I got rid of it. And the reason why is I have some issues. 2 stores are not better than 1. Keeping up 2 stores is a lot more taxing than I originally thought it would be. When I launch new designs, I have to create the same new product listings for both stores. Now, it's great that both Etsy and Shopify have API with Printful. That takes a lot of the work out of the equation for me, but it's still a lot of work. And that is probably how I've been able to even continue to do it altogether. But ultimately, it is still a lot of additional work. It's a time suck, it's an energy suck, and ultimately it's kind of a morale suck, if I'm being honest. Because every new product release is fraught with this gloomy cloud of knowing that I have to populate my new product listings from scratch in 2 stores, complete with SEO optimization for each of those shops, which is really my favorite thing. No, I'm just kidding, but it's a necessary thing. In Printful, if you have 2 shops with API like I do, an Etsy store and a Shopify store, there's no option to flow new listings from one store to the next. So you have to manually create the same listing for each of your shops. It still does take work out of it if you had to manually create those listings outside of an API, but it's still a lot of work. I'm really not trying to be a bummer, but I'm just trying to give you a full picture of doing this after 2 to 3 years of me doing it. That might not be such a big deal for those who have smaller releases. One of my signature values is that I have tons of designs to choose from. So for me, this is a big deal. And this could actually be the biggest deal breaker for me. The second set of issues is restraining myself from too many bells and whistles in the form of paid apps in my Shopify store. I had too many paid apps in my store. These are apps you purchase on a monthly subscription in order to add additional bells and whistles, functionality, beauty, promotion, whatever, to your Shopify store. After a while, I simply had too many of them. At one time, I was paying about $50 a month in paid apps alone, not even including my Shopify subscription. No, thank you. Now, there were free versions for most of these apps, so what I ended up doing was taking an audit. I whittled it right down, going to free apps for the ones that I was paying for that were not super important, and only keeping one, which will bring you to my next problem with Shopify. The next issue may not be as imminently fixable. It's shipping rules and the need for multiple shipping rules when you have multiple product formats and/or multiple drop shippers on Shopify. Figuring out how to handle multiple shipping options in your store is complicated no matter how you look at it. I admire shops that have this piece figured out, although I truly question whether anyone can ever have it fully figured out, because it's a moving target. It's a gigantic puzzle. It's a puzzle that seemingly never ends. Your shop is a growing and evolving thing. You're carrying new products, you're dropping others. Your shipping needs also can change, and that really can throw a monkey wrench into things, and it can add up to a lot of time and frustration. I honestly cannot get into the nitty-gritty details here about shipping because it is way too big and complicated and confusing of a subject to add into this video. I have spent countless hours trying to troubleshoot things that broke in my shipping. It's something I was spending money on every month via an app. I was instructed by Shopify or by the app person. I forget which person told me this, but I needed to purchase an annual Shopify plan, the entire annual fee upfront every year, or pay a monthly fee in order to have the advanced shipping rule app work in my store, in order to handle those different shipping options. So it's a lot. It's confusing. See, I told you. So yes, shipping rules have been the bane of my existence on Shopify, and the more product formats you have, the more shipping options you need to have. You could do a really basic flat fee shipping across the board, where you can add shipping into your product costs. I don't like to do that personally, but doing a flat fee shipping across the board is an option that's nice for the customer, and it also makes it easier for the shopkeeper, and I now understand why other people do that. Now, Etsy and shipping, that's something that Etsy makes so easy. It's not even a worry. It's a piece of cake to create shipping rules for your different product formats in Etsy. And if you're using an API with a print-on-demand partner, at least Printful does this, the shipping rules are populated for you. So when you create your Etsy listing in the Printful Etsy tool, it's a non-issue. Sidebar, full disclosure, the Advanced Shipping Rule app would automatically flow all of Printful's shipping options per product format into my Shopify store. But I'm not sure how Shopify handles Printful's shipping rules if you don't have the Advanced Shipping Rule app or another similar app installed and activated in your shop. Like I stated before, I have no intention of ever shutting my Etsy store. Why? For the most part, I do the majority of my shop sales across the board on Etsy consistently, unless I'm running an event on my Shopify store. That's the truth, and that's how the cookie crumbles. People complain about Etsy fees. I can't complain about Etsy fees. I know what I spend on my Shopify store every year, right now, and I know which shop most of my customers shop at. Shopify integrations make it hard to even consider leaving. If shoppable posts on Instagram are something that you really want, but you don't have a Shopify store, or you're scared to leave Shopify because you won't have that perk anymore, you can do it with your Facebook page. You can simply create a Facebook page native shop right on the Facebook page that you already host for your shop. And you can connect that one to your Instagram and have shoppable posts through that. You can then sell directly off Facebook. The cost is 2.9% per transaction plus 30 cents per listing. So it's very comparable to Shopify in terms of the actual listing cost, but there's no monthly fee or anything else. I've personally found that Facebook is a great place to connect with my audience. Often customers contact me directly through Facebook. And it totally cleans up that Shopify, Instagram, shoppable post situation. I don't even have to worry about it. I just will sell my stuff on my Facebook page in addition. I'll still have to make 2 posts, but I'm going to streamline my Facebook posts and then drive people to my Etsy store through there. Issues with an Etsy-only shopping experience that I don't even think are issues anymore. URL domain, driving your customers and your potential customers to your own platform, your own autonomous platform, your own domain, your own experience, instead of an Etsy domain and an Etsy experience. Obviously, I understand and I agree with that in general. We get autonomy and a 360-degree branding experience when you have your own autonomous store. Here are my thoughts on that. The domain piece is a non-issue to me. I use my own domain for my Etsy shop, and I can move any shop there that I want. So if I just use the same domain and then I can just relink it to whatever website I want, I can just continue to move around my shops and try new shops if I want. It's not a big deal. As for the overall brand experience, I see it as a far less of an issue for me now than I used to. If you have an established brand presence outside of Etsy or have established your brand over the years, I'm not so sure this is as big of an issue as it used to be once upon a time. And I'm willing to take my chances on that because for me, the proof is in the pudding and it's not an issue anymore. Etsy is far more well-known and well-used in the general public than it used to be. So there's almost no customer education or learning curve necessary with Etsy anymore. In fact, having an Etsy presence can be seen as a benefit because many people simply prefer to shop within the framework of Etsy. Let me repeat that. Many people prefer to shop within the framework of Etsy. Sidebar, I did a SurveyMonkey survey and the majority of my customers would rather shop on Etsy than my Shopify store. I needed to get to the bottom of it because my Shopify store did depend on it. So I asked them and they told me why. There was lots of reasons, such as it's just easier. I can put a lot of my other shopping stuff in my cart at once. People love Etsy. Bottom line, dollars out versus dollars in, plus time equals money, plus energy equals morale. Taking everything above into consideration, the double listings, the upfront payment for my Shopify shop versus no upfront payment for an Etsy shop, how much energy did I put into each store versus sales I made for each shop last year? Time spent. I spent an average of 4 to 1 time on my Shopify store versus the time I spent on my Etsy store. That is a conservative estimate. I may have spent 5 to 1. I'm not really sure, but it was up there. Traffic. This is huge. I personally drove almost all of the traffic to my Shopify store myself. I stopped sharing my Etsy link to my Etsy store about 5 months ago in favor of using only my Shopify store link in order to drive people to my store. The reason I would share both links previously is because I had a gut feeling that many people prefer to shop with me through Etsy. And the customer survey I sent out did confirm this. I did optimize my Shopify with SEO, but according to my records, the only traffic I received in Shopify was not SEO organic traffic. It was either traffic I personally pushed to my store, or it was traffic from a random link that went viral on Reddit or Pinterest. I really received no everyday run-of-the-mill Google traffic for my Shopify store, and this is doing the SEO work. I am not an SEO guru, but I did the best I could and I did not ignore it. And if I came up in their search, I didn't get clicks. So I may have come up in some searches, I don't know, but I didn't see it. Income. Backstory, kind of. I have not paid for advertising in a couple of years now. Yet in my Etsy shop, with no organic promotion from myself and no advertising on my part, I earned over triple and maybe quadruple or more that I earned in my Shopify store last year. And the reason those numbers are a little wonky is because people pay through different payment gateways. So the numbers aren't all in one place, but that's the story. So for me, Shopify does not work as it is today with my personal product and store model. I have several products and a lot of designs on those products. The great thing about Shopify is that I get unlimited products in the Shopify basic plan. The not great thing is that the shipping rules are such a sticking point, such a roadblock for me with all of my different product formats, or if I wanted to add more print-on-demand partners and different amounts of items that are ordered. Shopify would be great for this person today. Someone who wants an autonomous shop, obviously, does not have a huge product catalog if they are also on Etsy and need to double post their listings. So a smaller product catalog so you don't go crazy like I did. Someone for whom the lack of multiple shipping rules will not be a problem. That would be somebody who maybe has 1 or 2 product formats and can handle working out their shipping costs with the base tools in Shopify and balancing it out somehow without purchasing an additional app to help that out. Or someone who plans to lump their shipping costs into their product prices and offer free shipping across the board. Basically, someone who will be able to really big picture the shipping limitations with their product offerings and just make it work for them. I couldn't do that myself. Maybe you can. It can be difficult to make your shipping costs per products match if you are running both an Etsy and a Shopify store. So having the same shipping costs for each store, for each product, and quantity of products, like coming out to be the same in the end, if you know what I mean. This is something I constantly struggled with having 2 stores. And I just wanted to call it out for you as a potential roadblock down the road. My final thoughts. The amount of time I need to commit to marketing and promoting sales for my Shopify store were untenable in terms of the time and effort investment versus the profit I was making in the store. I may be in the minority, but this has been my experience. I do think Shopify is a platform with a lot of great stuff to offer, though obviously it's not right for everybody. And sometimes it takes a lot of time and experience with something to really figure out if it works for you or not. Quitting my shop was harder to do for me than it should have been on paper. And this is because I'm a very visual person and I really enjoyed the aesthetic of my shop. Obviously, because it's my shop. And I really enjoyed the user experience. But it's not all about me. In some ways, it's very little about me. Who's it about? It's about my customers. And that's the bottom line. I'm not cutting out the possibility of having another standalone shop. In fact, I'm super open to it. I just got to find the right platform. So what do you think? Do you have an Etsy shop? And if you do you have another additional shop somewhere for autonomy? Are you thinking about Shopify, or do you have a big cartel shop? What have been your experiences with keeping the balance with all this stuff, with both your Etsy shop versus another standalone site? How do you handle multiple shipping options with your Shopify site? Have you created some magical table in the shipping tools that are native to Shopify that works for you? On that note, has your head spun over the amount of apps available in Shopify? I mean, you really have to hold yourself back. I'd love to hear some of your favorite apps in the description, and I will put mine down below as well. So let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. I already closed my shop. Your comments might help somebody who's in the same spot as me. Before I go today, please make sure to like this video if you like it, and please subscribe for more videos like this. I also want to say thank you so much to all my new followers, most recently in the past couple of months. Thank you guys so much. Welcome, welcome so hard. I'm so excited to have you here. Until the next video, I will talk to you guys soon, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.